Oh, shit, yeah. Okay, game over.
Well, I'm still hoping for my big win, you know.
Junior high. Yeah, seventh grade.
Planning on building
20 to 6.
Oh, LCCD? Okay. It's nice.
So I didn't go because it's green and I missed.
That's a good idea. Will it be market rents or reduced market?
reduce.
That's the first thing, huh?
Income based.
Nor am I.
So it'll clear out once we.
So East 11th.
Hmm?
East 11th and North Brand. Okay, yeah. Sure, that's all.
Guessing that's yours. Oh. Yeah. Seems about right. Does he have to use this all? I started because that's the way Maryland used to. Maryland was doing it. It's probably not that far
Right.
from being accurate. All right, we're going to get the September 23rd, 2025 City Planning Commission meeting called to order here. Item number 1 is roll call.
Davies, McCune,
Here.
Matthews,
Here.
Bain,
Here.
Fudge,
Here.
Jet,
Here.
Forbes,
Here.
Whirl,
Here.
and Van Velsen. Quorum is present.
Current copy of the Open Meetings Act of the State of Nebraska is posted on that wall back there. You're free to refer to it at any time. I think there's also an agenda or two over there if you'd like to follow along and keep score. I know some people like to keep score. Oh. Hi.
Hi. Sorry, I'm late. I watched you run slow.
All right. Item number 2, approve minutes from the August 26, 2025 meeting. I trust you've all read them intently.
I would make a motion to approve the minute.
Second.
Motion by Bain, seconded by Jet to approve the minutes as presented. Any discussion on that matter? Not? Michelle, please. We'll see if this thing. We didn't.
I will get Glenn out.
That's all right.
Did you, yeah.
Yes.
All right, and the minutes are passed. Item number 3, file number AM 25-00-6, discuss and consider action on updates to the North Platte City Code of Ordinances, section 76.22 regarding parking and storing of RVs and other recreational vehicles. Judy.
Okay, and you should have all received a copy of the proposed regulations. Those items underlined in red, if yours is in color, or just underlined, are what we are discussing about the possibility of adding. And this is based off of discussions that we've had at previous meetings. I'm going to go ahead and let the city attorney take over at that point if he has anything additional to add.
Not necessarily. We tried to
sat down and looked at this and tried to make what adjustments we thought would be appropriate to address some concerns that have arisen. One issue that we could look at further, and I think it's kind of intentionally vague, although it has caused some issues for the police department, which is some of the feedback that we got from the police department was the definition of a hard surface pad, that we don't have further definition for that. So again, in my mind, it's kind of intentional, not defined, but we could go a different direction with that too.
One of the other things that I wanted to point out too is that I got a couple of phone calls about today. It would be E2, where it says, subject to all existing setback requirements in a particular zone where it's located. And this is talking about the side yard. And I think that's going to cause some issues requiring a side yard setback. And I can give you an example if you want me to pull it up on the computer screen. But there's a couple areas in town where people have already poured concrete pads. They have their existing pad. There's a concrete pad to the side. And they've placed their RVs for storage in that location. So if we put this in, that's not going to allow them to put that there any longer because they can't meet that setback. And they've done it for years, never had a complaint, and it's a neighborhood where there's probably 6 or 8 of them right in that area that have done that. Poured a concrete pad, put that there, and so it's existing. So this may end up causing a hardship if we require them to have a side yard setback. And like I said, I can pull it up on GIS if you want to look and see what it looks like, but.
The other thing I'm hearing is the slide out retraction in this new one. Any slide shall remain fully retracted while it's parked or stored. When people want to have it in their driveway and have their slide outs out for whatever reason. And I feel if it's within the setback, the slide out can be out. On the street, I don't think it should be out at all, except for cleaning and maintenance. But if it's in a driveway with reasonable, meets the setback, I think the slide should be able to be out.
Or even in, there, I got calls and people have a lot beside their house and park it on their lot beside the house. And they're upset that, why can't I have my slide deployed on my own property?
Right, it's on their property, it's
On their
within their property, it's within the setback. The slide wouldn't matter if it's in or out.
Yeah, and I've gotten calls. I got a call today, from a resident on the north side who actually parks his right on the lot line to avoid having to see the mess in the neighbor's yard. And sent me pictures to back it up, so we'll probably chase that down. So I think there's a lot to think about on this. It says discuss and consider action, but as I kind of talked through this and thought through this a little bit, I kind of wonder if it doesn't make sense to let this simmer, read this, let it simmer for a month, come back, do a public hearing and take some input from the community and
Revisit the comments and wording of some of the stuff.
yeah.
Have there been complaints about the slides in somebody's yard?
I think it was more just when we were looking at discussing this the last time, and I think if I go back to the minutes, I think some of us talked about,
I was out of town.
yeah, I think some of us talked about putting the slides in because, you know, sometimes when they're in a side yard, if you have the slides out, you know, you're almost up against your
Right.
neighbor's home in some instances.
You know what a slide deployed width is?
They range from
depends.
2 to 4 foot.
3 feet. I checked with Larry's RV.
3 feet.
We're worried about 3 feet.
Some are 2.
Some are 2. Yeah, some are 2. Some are, he said 3 feet.
That is
Generally speaking.
Yeah.
Go ahead,
Generally.
Kathleen.
no, that is the largest slide.
That's what he said.
Is that right?
So the way the ordinance reads right now,
It's pretty big.
are they allowed basically to pour a pad right up to the lot line and park it right on the lot line, or do they have to meet setback?
Without this change?
Without changes?
Yes. the way it's written today.
Yeah, you can pour, I mean, the city of North Platte would allow you to pour a cement pad up to the point of your property, of the lot line. Because it's not a vertical structure, it's within
Right.
your property, so.
Yeah.
So the setbacks don't necessarily apply to that because it's not any type of a vertical structure.
And then you can pull your, right now, without saying you can't be in the side yard. If it's the side yard, the way it was intended when it was first written, was if you had it attached to your, or part of your current driveway,
Right.
then you could park it in the side, yes.
So like, but on fences, we won't allow a front yard fence any higher than 5 feet
Any higher than 3 in the 25-foot setback, yes,
in a front yard.
in a front yard,
Right.
yes.
And then if you're building an ancillary structure on the side of your home, as long as but that's anywhere from a 3 to 6 foot setback depending on zoning.
Yes.
And that can be up to 20 feet tall. Is that correct?
Probably, I'd have to check the code for sure. I think it is 20 feet because then if you go any higher than that, then your setback is greater. And I think it's actually 5 to 7 feet
Okay,
on a side yard.
okay.
But I'd have to look at that code. I'm not exactly sure how tall you can go without increasing the setback.
So the argument is, in my mind, okay, well, if you're gonna limit a fence to 3 feet, now we've got a situation where you're pouring a pad up to the side of a lot line and you're parking how tall are some of these things? 15, 17
12
feet?
to 15.
Yeah. So I mean, there's some inconsistencies between, and just all stuff I want everybody to think about in the course of the next 30 days before, and have some discussion here about it too.
Back when was first came proposed, it was to not allow people to live in an RV on the property. And it states that in there.
Mhm.
You can't do that. Now we're adding layers and layers to this. Just, you can't live in an RV. Simple as that. It's not, we don't want that in town.
Yeah, I think that's fairly clear here.
A question, on the fence, question though, the fence can be 5 feet up to the front of up to the front of the house, right? Okay.
There's a
That-
setback. So typically it's 25-foot front yard setback. So in
Right.
that 25-foot area, it has to go down to
Okay,
3 feet.
I just wanted to
Yeah.
clarify on that.
And
That's for
then
safety.
depending if you're,
Yes.
safety reasons, and
100%.
depending
Visual.
if you're on a corner lot, sometimes you have to do a corner
Mhm.
cuts for a clear vision zone to be able to see around.
I was hearing it wrong.
Yeah.
So,
Yep,
okay.
no. What other kind of questions do you have for Bill or Judy on this?
Would it be smart to address it with permitted uses or conditional uses? You know, if you have a solid pad on this in your side yard and you do not encroach on your neighbor, can you put your slides out and leave them there?
Define encroach.
Well, cross the line.
If you're up, so you'd let them go up to the lot line with the slide out.
Yeah.
And not meet the setbacks.
That's a question.
Right.
Would you permit that with an RV? Because an RV is a movable thing and all that kind of stuff. I have one of those across the street from me. They have he built the 5-foot fence, he poured his lot, and he put his RV in there, and it works slick, and he loves it, and it's all good. He finally moved because he moved to Omaha, but he was really pissed that we were talking about taking that away from him.
And I would suspect there would be a fair number of people that would be on both sides of this issue. I know there's some
Yeah.
folks on one side here, and I know there's probably some folks on the other side here. So
Well, and like we discussed, there's people that did it on purpose and it's not like they're gonna be grandfathered in. You know, well, I put this pad here and I've done it for 5 years. The city allowed me to put this pad here for
Right.
this.
and
Now you're changing.
they've expended resources to do that, and it's been
Right.
legal, and they've followed the rules, and
And
yeah, I
it's
get
not
all
like
that.
we can grandfather them in.
Right.
So,
Well, I think the enforcement is a challenge. Is it just when they get a complaint, is that when the enforcement occurs?
Yeah,
Because
I think that-
the
Mostly.
72-hour deal is not being enforced. There's RVs parked all over town, in the front of the houses, and they don't, they might move on a weekend, but they're back and they're there, and that's not being enforced. So we just add another layer of unenforced ordinance,
Basically.
basically. Yeah.
Just went
But
blank.
there's,
They'll come back.
Okay.
Decided she wasn't gonna use her presentation, so.
But there are some areas in town, if you guys want to drive around, I know, one of the calls that I got was the Sequoia area. On Sequoia Drive, there's a number of these that have the concrete pad right beside the existing, and their RVs are right there in the side yard setback.
Oh my gosh, that just sounds so radical and un-American.
so they're in the setback, so they don't meet the setback.
Well, if you change this, so if you change this that says, subject to all existing setbacks,
Yeah.
that would eliminate those.
Right.
That would basically say you can't do that because you
mean
can't meet
They
a
have to meet
7-foot
the
setback.
as if
Yep,
It's an improvement.
yep,
Okay, that's the way I read it.
yep,
And like you said, there's a bunch of these out there.
yep.
But what if there's a fence? You know?
Well, there's guidelines for that.
And maybe, I mean, I don't know, just throwing ideas out there. Maybe you say you have to have a privacy fence and then you can put it there.
I saw a picture of a situation where a boat was in the side yard. People didn't like it.
Yeah.
I told him he had to put a fence up. He put a fence up, but it's a mural of the boat on it.
But you do open a can of worms then.
Yeah.
I mean, because some boats can be pretty big and,
Yep.
and so then is that the next?
Yeah, somebody gonna park I've seen a sailboat,
Houseboat?
well, sailboat parked down on Fifth Street over down by the Lutheran Church on like Fifth and Willow that's gotta be 25 feet tall in places. I don't know what the right answer is on this. So, my
You can't
recommendations,
live in an RV.
unless this is on the agenda to discuss and consider action on updates. So you could, Bill, what are our options here? We could table it, we could,
Yeah, well, there hasn't been a motion made yet, so I mean, really, somebody could make a motion in favor, against, somebody could make a motion to table, so, nobody's made any kind of a motion yet, so all the options are out there.
I don't know that I'd feel comfortable with advancing this without a public hearing. I think we would want to take public input. It wasn't on the agenda as a public hearing. I think it was meant more or less, correct me if I'm wrong, for discussion among our group tonight. And then see what feedback we would give to these folks, between now and, if any feedback, if you want to see this back on the next meeting.
Which is why I think we're getting the public comments personally.
Right.
So we'll give them an opportunity to come and give us their comments.
I'd make a motion to table.
I would second that.
There's a motion on the floor to table this. Motion by McEwen, seconded by Bain to table. What would be your,
Timeline.
well, what would be your desire? Does everybody want to see this come back next
I'm
month?
wondering too.
Right. The fact that we tabled it, what happens to it when it comes back? Do you want it coming back as a public hearing to take public
Yep,
comment?
Yeah, I think come back, okay, I'll amend my motion to include
For
this as
public
a
hearing
public
next
hearing
month? Okay.
for this.
That makes sense to you, Michelle?
I will second.
Sure.
We're gonna,
Talk to
ta-
the attorney.
we're gonna table this pending action, or we'll bring this back next month in the form of a public hearing so we can take public comment and, we'll move on with it after that. Does that make sense to everybody? We wanted time, I think, here tonight to digest what's been going on.
I'd say anybody that wants to make suggested edits or anything like that, this was just the information that we felt, that Judy and I felt was brought to us. So that's what we put together. not gonna hurt my feelings if nobody likes it, or if everybody likes it, I get paid the same no matter.
Yeah, because if you're making edits, then, does that change what the public hearing discussion is? You know, if
Not
you want that,
necessarily.
you go with What's
We'll put it-
here.
Yeah, we'll put it out in
And-
advance, and so, I feel like everybody that would want to comment is gonna have an opportunity to see it in advance.
Okay.
So if we wanna make changes, there's nothing that prevents anybody from suggesting changes before the next meeting, when it would come back, assuming that the motion passes. And so I'm just saying, if anybody wants to talk to Judy or I beforehand, you're always more than welcome to. So, and we can see what, there's the possibility I could say that, a suggested change wouldn't be appropriate. So those types of things, I'm just saying, you're welcome to bring any of your ideas to Judy and I. We're always happy to talk.
Appreciate your work on this. These are never fun. So, okay, there is a motion and a second on the floor to table this until the October meeting, which would include a public hearing when it comes back. Any more discussion on that matter? Not, Michelle, please. And this item has been tabled. We will bring this back in October. We'll have a public hearing. You'll all have an opportunity to give us your input at that time, and we'll see where this goes. Okay?
Sounds good.
Appreciate everybody coming. I assume a lot of people were here for this tonight, seeing it's usually kind of bare around here, okay? Item number 4, file number SU 25-017, discussion, consider action on application by the Lincoln County Community Development Corporation for preliminary and final approval of LCCDC subdivision located at 1117 through 1121 East 11th Street in an R2 dwelling district on property described as lots 9, 10, 11, and 12, Block 21, Flynn's Edition, to North Platte, Lincoln County, Nebraska. Judy.
Okay, and you should have all received a copy of the preliminary and the final plat for LCCDC subdivision. The subdivision will consolidate 4 existing lots into 2 lots with a shared utility and access easement running north and south from the alley to East 11th Street. The lots do have access to city utilities, and planning staff has no objection to the subdivision. The intent, just because I know this, the intent is for LCCDC to demolish the existing structure that is on, I believe, previous lot 9, and then in the future, as grant funding is available, to build 2 fourplexes, I believe. One on each lot.
Okay, just a little housekeeping item. Mr. McEwen informed me pre-meeting that he is on the board of the Development Corporation, will be abstaining from this action along with all input. So any discussion on this matter?
My only discussion is they're both named Lot 1, Block 1.
The second page, Beth, I was just looking at that. Look at the next page.
Yep, lot 2, block 1 on the second
Yep.
page.
Okay, got it corrected on the second page.
You say they're demolishing an existing structure and then putting up 2 fourplex.
One on each lot?
Yeah, so, yeah.
Okay.
That's their intent. When that gets done, they are a nonprofit organization, so it may take some time.
Any more discussion on this one? Not, there's a proposed motion there.
I move to make a recommendation to approve file number SU 25-017, preliminary and final approval of LCCDC subdivision.
Second.
Motion by Matthews, seconded by Bain to approve as presented. Any more discussion on this? Not, please. And the motion passes 7-0 with 1 abstention. Record reflect that Mr. McEwen has abstained.
This will go on to the city council meeting on October 7th, I believe is the meeting date.
Okay, item number 5 is a public hearing, file number CU 25-005, discuss and consider action on application by the city of North Platte, lessor and Industrial Tower West LLC lessee for a conditional use permit to expand the footprint of an existing communication tower located at in the 4,000 block of West Front Street in an I-2 heavy industrial district on property described as Lot 1 Municipal Subdivision, Lincoln County, Nebraska. Judy.
Okay, and you should all have received a copy of the review comments. Attached to that is a letter from Industrial Tower West, and then 2 site plans, and then a location map showing you the area of the existing site. The applicant is requesting to expand the tower site approximately 0.075 acres to accommodate a generator addition and 2 additional equipment shelters. The expansion will not result in adverse impacts on neighboring properties, and there will be no effect regarding traffic or parking. Site activity will be limited to routine maintenance visits. Planning staff has no objections to the conditional use application. The property is currently and has been used as a long-term tower site. The project is simply increasing the tower compound and should not be a detriment to the surrounding property owners, as the use will not change. The applicant is in the audience if you have any questions. Otherwise, I will be happy to help where I can.
Okie dokie, this is a public hearing. We have 2 of these tonight, and so the following rules I'm going to read will apply to both, so pay attention because I don't want to read them twice. Planning Commission values your input, wants to hear from the audience during public hearings. Anybody wishing to speak must first be recognized by the chair. Once recognized, please approach the podium, state your name and address. Please keep your comments as brief as possible. Repetitive and excessively long testimony may be ended at the discretion of the chair, which makes the chair grouchy. And with that, the public hearing is now open. Anybody want to talk on this one? Come on up. Name and address, please.
I'm Teresa Swigert. I'm with Industrial Tower West, and my address for business is 1224 West Platte Avenue in Fort Morgan, Colorado.
Very good. Go ahead.
So this, like Judy was saying, explain kind of what we're looking for. With power outages sometimes that are happening, we're trying to replace or put on our sites all new generators for backup, just to help with the connectivity and ongoing, performance of our service. And then we have had a couple of companies, and I don't know exactly which ones, have reached out to us to do some co-location, but we do want to put up some new shelters, a couple new shelters to be able to accommodate that. So it would also benefit the area for, other carriers other than just Vero as well.
Any questions? Thank you.
Okay.
What'd you do with Reha?
Oh, he's still around.
Give him the night off, did you?
He's still around. They've been training me, so
Well, tell him hi.
getting my toes wet. I will.
Thanks. Anybody else want to testify on this one? Going once. Going twice.
I'll make a motion, we close the public hearing.
Second.
Motion by Bain, seconded by McEwen to close the public hearing. Any discussion on that motion? Not, Michelle, please. And the public hearing is now closed. We're going to talk about this one up here now, okay? Questions, comments? Fairly straightforward. Judy, there's a bunch of factual findings here. Whoever makes the motion's got to read all 5 of those.
Yes, that is correct.
And any additional, would the city recommend any additional conditions?
They've been there for quite a while with no issues, so I don't see anything.
Okay.
But they didn't have a propane tank so close to a residential area before.
Sorry,
I
said.
think there is there's an existing propane tank there.
Is there?
Yeah. I believe so.
Yeah, come on up and answer that if you would. There is an existing tank on the drawing.
Yes, and it's on the other side. This one is a little bit closer to the residential, but it is actually more, it's like 300 feet from the nearest backyard of a residence.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Other questions? No, there's a motion there. Somebody'd like to read it? Somebody's got to do it.
I move that we find the request for a conditional use permit to expand the footprint of an existing communication tower site located in the 4,000 block of West Front Street meets the minimum standards stated in the North Platte Code of Ordinances, section 156.322, and approve and grant the conditional use permit requested with the conditions that all elements of the application are complied with. Based on the following factual findings. 1, the use shall conform to all applicable ordinances, laws, and regulations of any governmental jurisdiction. 2, the use shall have adequate water, sewer, and drainage facilities. 3, ingress and egress shall be so designated as to minimize traffic congestion in the public streets. 4, the use shall, in all other respects, conform to the applicable regulations of the district in which it is located. And 5, the use shall be in harmony with the character of the area and the most appropriate use of land.
Second.
Motion by Matthews, seconded by Bain to make a recommendation to approve the conditional use permit to the city council. Any more discussion on this matter? Michelle?
Another 30 seconds. Or 10 seconds.
And the motion is approved. This will go to city council.
October 7th, public hearing again.
Okay. All right.
Yep.
You bet. Items number 6 and 7 are related, so I'm going to read them both in. They both have public hearings attached to them, and so we'll do this public hearing simultaneously on these. Item number 6 is a public hearing, file number AM 25-007. Discuss and consider action on application by Lewis and Diane Herrick to amend the North Platte Comprehensive Plan 2011 future land use map, amending certain land from agricultural vacant to commercial on property located at 4684 and 4602 Rodeo Road and described as part of the south half northeast quarter of section 25, township 14 north, range 30 west of the 6th prime meridian, Lincoln County, Nebraska. Item number 7 is also a public hearing, file number Z25-007. Discuss and consider action on an application by Lewis and Diane Herrick to rezone certain lands from an A1 transitional agricultural district to a B2 highway commercial district on property located at 4684 and 4602 Rodeo Road and described as part of the south half northeast quarter of section 25, township 14 north, range 30 west of the 6th prime meridian, Lincoln County, Nebraska. Judy.
Okay, and you should have received a copy of the review comments and the future land use map showing the amendment, and then also you should have received a copy of the review comments for the zoning, a letter from the applicant, and then 2 different site plans. One is kind of an aerial to show you the existing buildings, and then the other one, the area that's proposed to be rezoned. In order to rezone a property, it's the duty of the Planning Commission to ensure that the rezoning is in conformance with the current comprehensive plan. The request for the amendment has been submitted in conjunction with the rezoning, and the applicants are requesting the amendment to allow the change in zone. Planning staff has no objections to the amendment. The property is currently being used as both commercial and residential. It is abutting commercial, industrial, and agricultural properties, and amending the land use to allow this property to develop as a commercial property should not be a detriment to the surrounding areas. The applicant is requesting this zone change to allow the property that contains 2 residential structures, and that's the property nearest to Highway 30, Rodeo Road, to be split for possible sale in the future. Each residential site would be split into 2 separate 2-acre parcels and 1 larger vacant 8-acre parcel. And then additionally, since we were doing this anyway, the RV park is a better fit zoned as commercial than it is as agricultural, so we just thought that we would do that all at the same time. If you have any questions, I will be glad to answer, and the applicant is in the audience too. And you will see a subdivision if this is rezoned come through probably next month.
Okie dokie, public hearing time. It is now open. Anyone want to talk? And again, we're talking about both these things, which are more or less the same thing. So anybody want to talk on this? Going once. Going twice.
I'll make a motion, we close the public hearing.
there a second? Motion by Bain, seconded by Forbes to close the public hearing. You did do that, right?
Yes.
Okay. Any more discussion on that? If not, Michelle, please. And the public hearing is now closed. All right, we'll talk about these up here. These are more or less commercial sites, the way it says.
Okay, so we move it to commercial,
Mm-hmm.
and then it goes to B2, but then there's residential in there, so then that comes up next.
Yeah, well, no, kind of. So the amendment, we have to do the amendment to the land use, which would allow it, so we've got the land use, because right now the land use is showing it as agricultural vacant. So in order to rezone it to commercial, we have to amend that land use, which is action number 1. If you amend that to commercial, then you can rezone the property. Now, this was a little bit tough when I was talking to the owner about how to do this, because there are 2 residential properties on site. One to kind of the west of the property that abuts, or I call it north because it's on the north side of the paper, but it's actually west, right along Highway 30. There's a residential structure, and then if you look towards then the east, there's another residential structure. Well, what Mr. Herrick is wanting to do is to subdivide that into 3 separate lots. The house on the west, the house on the east, and then a larger lot in the center. In order to do that, our regulations do not allow lot sizes of less than 10 acres if you're ag, so you have to rezone it to something. So in discussions with Mr. Herrick, you know, piecemealing that into 2 residential lots and 1 commercial lot was going to be kind of,
Okay.
That was gonna be my question.
yeah. So when I talked to him originally, the north lot, he is looking to sell those 2 residential properties. The one that's on the east or towards the bottom of the paper, there's a gentleman that's currently renting there that does have a trucking company. So if he were to buy that, I could see it being zoned commercial would actually work better than having it zoned residential. Now the one to the north, you know, you don't know what somebody's going to do. So I just felt at the time the best way to do that, especially since it's right along Highway 30, is just zone it all residential or commercial. And then if somebody were to come in and try to buy it and have maybe an issue with that commercial zoning versus a residential, maybe we could look at it at that time to possibly do some kind of a transitional, commercial transitional, business transitional, or something like that that would allow the residential. Now, the residential can stay there as it is, as
It would be
a,
grandfathered.
it would be a
Grandfathered,
non-conforming,
non-conforming
yeah,
use.
basically a non-conforming use. So somebody can occupy it as a residential, it's no problem, even though it's zoned commercial. But in that area, I could see somebody possibly buying the residential structure and adding a garage for some sort of a business,
Right.
you know?
That's ideal sites out there for somebody who wanted to do a home-based business or
Yeah.
something of that nature with access to the highway.
And this is a good thing to be going the route of commercial. I mean, that's what you want as a community to be growing. You know, and too, it's just like, so as we're planning or preparing for future roads or whatever in this area, you know, what do we need to be thinking about? Just that changes it all is what goes through my mind, but yeah.
Did I explain it enough?
Yes.
Okay, perfect.
To understand, like,
That was my thing, is that the 2 residentials will be non-conforming.
Yeah,
And then it wouldn't make, I don't know, if you're gonna split 2 acres to 2 acres, you can't just put in R2 and R2 and B2 around it.
you could, but it's really, I mean, being that area, I just felt that it was so much a better fit to be commercial than it is residential. But it may turn out that they're gonna be residential and maybe somebody will buy that whole thing from him, the 8 acres, and make it all residential. But it just being right up against the highway, it's more conducive to a commercial property, in my opinion.
Is the residential use permitted in the commercial district?
It would be permitted as a non-conforming right now, which means that it would be allowed to stay. And if an act of God came in and the tornado came in, it would be allowed to be rebuilt. But they couldn't expand on the residential. So if they want to do an addition, that wouldn't be allowed in a commercial. They'd have to rezone it.
And just to clarify, looking at the colored, sheet here, the G-Works sheet,
Yep.
you're talking about residential down in the lower right-hand corner, 00540095?
No, it's up. It's still on that 00540055 area, but it's in that corner. You can kind of see a couple of buildings there.
That's the old, is that the old drive-in theater?
Yes.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
So it's right here.
Okay.
Okay.
So just so I understand, the RV park is part of this?
Yeah, we just decided since he owns all of it to just go ahead and change that to B2 also, since he was going through the process. But it would not be split. It would remain as its own lot so that the parcel ID, the 00540555.00 would be split into 3. A residential towards the west, a residential towards the east, and then in the center would be another, but we're zoning it all commercial, but it would be 3 different parcels where the residential structure
Eventually,
is.
but
Yeah.
that action's not being taken up tonight.
No,
Right.
it will be subdivided at a
Right.
later date because right now it's all ag and you can't subdivide ag into smaller than 10-acre lots.
Why not just 2 parcels? Like, if there's one you're just gonna sell as an empty lot?
Possibly. He has plans to do different things with that. He may retain it and put storage units on it. Through the discussions with him, I don't think that he had decided 100% what he wanted to do with that for sure.
Because, I mean, yeah, really the best use probably is a business use for that, really.
I agree with that. Okay, any more discussion? So we have to take these up in item number 6 first and then item number 7. And so there is a proposed motion on item number 6 there. If somebody wants to read it, if you have no more discussion.
I move to make a recommendation to approve file number AM 25-007, an amendment to the City of North Platte future land use map, amending certain land from agricultural/vacant to commercial on property located at 4684 and 4602 Rodeo Road.
Motion by Jet, seconded by Forbes to approve or make a recommendation to approve. Any more discussion on that? Not? And the Planning Commission recommends to the council to approve.
And this will go to the city council for a public hearing again on October 7th.
Okay, so then on to item number 7, which is the actual rezoning. Any more discussion on that matter? If not, there is a proposed motion there.
Move to make a recommendation to approve file number Z 25-007 to rezone certain land from an A1 transitional agricultural district to a B2 highway commercial district on property located at 4684 and 4602 Rodeo Road.
Second.
Motion by Forbes, seconded by McEwen to approve. Any more discussion on that matter? Not? All right, Planning Commission recommends approval to the council on both matters. This will go to the council.
October 7th at 5:30 for a public hearing.
There you go. Good luck. Item number 8, discussion of upcoming joint planning commission work session.
Okay, so I put this on the agenda. So as you may or may not know, I do planning for both the city and the county. So I have a county planning commission also. And I have decided that we can all use a little bit of education in our lives when it comes to what it means to be a planning commissioner and making decisions and those sorts of things. So I have asked Dave Patak and Chad Nabity to come out. Chad Nabity is the regional planning director for City of Grand Island and Hall County. And then Dave Patak is a land use attorney that's been in the field of land use planning for probably since before I was born. And he also has served as a city administrator, a city attorney, and they do speaking. They do a lot of speaking events, and one of them they speak at the Nebraska Planning and Zoning Association, and they do this session called Planning 101. And so I've asked them to come out and do a Planning 101 session, and I've scheduled it for a night of the County Planning Commission, which is October 14th, I believe. I believe that's the
It's even
14th.
printed right here on the.
Oh, okay.
agenda.
I got it right. 14th.
Right here.
And so the county's gonna have their meeting at 5:30, and then we'll have these guys come at 6. And so I'm gonna advertise it so that anybody who is involved in planning, wants to know more about planning, you guys, if you wanna come and hear their presentation. Probably at 6 o'clock, pretty
You-
close to 6 o'clock.
Will you send us a formal?
Yes, I will definitely send it to you. I just wanted to kind of get it out there ahead of time so you guys can put that on your schedule because it's not your regularly scheduled evening. And so, I mean, it's very beneficial. They will have a little presentation and then they will allow you to ask some questions. And their Planning 101 session talks a lot about what your responsibilities are, when you can get overreaching as a planning commission, what to do with conditional uses, what to do with zoning amendments, all those different kinds of things. So I've taken that session. They do the same session every year. I've been going to Nebraska Planning and Zoning Association for 25 years. I've sat in on this session probably 6 or 7 times, and I always learn something new every time. So it's very good, and they're very well-educated individuals, so.
Perfect.
Yep, and they probably won't always agree with what our city attorney says, and I'm sure he doesn't always agree with them, but it's nice to have that conversation.
How long?
I would say we're gonna allocate 2 hours, but again, if you can come and see part of it and you leave, that's fine, but I think any education is good.
Will there be refreshments?
I will bring you cookies or something, I promise. I will do that. I can't bring pizza for everybody because I don't know how many people will be there, but I'll bring you something.
Emily will make homemade cookies.
I'll make homemade cookies.
You said you were gonna bring
He
some.
probably makes better homemade.
I'll be the
Not-
judge.
not
You
this
bring
guy.
them, I'll eat.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Walmart
Yeah.
makes good homemade cookies.
Item number 9, old business while we're on cookies, off cookies. Item number 9, old business.
I've got nothing.
Any new business? If not, we are adjourned.